Hello, everybody, and welcome to In the Picture, your source for movie review, discussion, and recommendation. I'm your host, Awesome Shane Jones, and this is the brand new show from Season 2 called Night Terrors, the show where I talk to you about the latest and greatest in horror movie news, as well as my personal recommendations, two of which I'm going to talk to you about today. The first is Evil Dead, the 2013 remake, and Don't Breathe, both of which directed by Fede Alvarez. And with that, let's get started. All right, a few beers down, and I promise you, I'm sober enough to make this episode, I think. Like I said, we're going to be talking about Fede Alvarez, who is a 40-year-old filmmaker from Uruguay. And for you, those of you who are geographically challenged, that is down on the southeastern end of South America. Fede Alvarez is known for making the 2013 remake Evil Dead, Don't Breathe, and then just recently in October he made The Girl in the Spider's Web, which is a sequel to The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I think he's currently one of the greatest horror directors that we have today. I mean, just from Evil Dead and Don't Breathe alone, man, my mind was blown, and that's why I'm talking about him. His upcoming movies include adaptation of the video game Dante's Inferno, which is based on Inferno, which is the first part to the Divine Comedy poem, and also a Labyrinth spin-off. Not much is known about that other than it's not going to be a Labyrinth remake. It's just going to be set in that universe and be a spin-off, as well as a Don't Breathe sequel, which I don't really know how they're going to do, but okay. Go ahead and make that, buddy. Pretty much any movie he wants to go and make, I'll be down to watch. So first of all, I'm going to talk about Evil Dead, the 2013 kind of soft reboot. It stars Jane Levy, and it is, like I said, a soft reboot of the Bruce Campbell-led campy horror franchise, The Evil Dead. Bruce Campbell did Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. And now this movie came out as kind of like a reboot, remake, and pretty much it just takes everything that's campy about the original series and makes it absolutely terrifying. If you don't know much about The Evil Dead, with this movie, it's about 5 friends who come together to a secluded cabin in the middle of the woods to help one of the characters' little sister, Mia, played by Jane Levy, to overcome her heroin addiction. And just like any old meddling kids in a cabin in the woods, they go snooping around and come across the Necronomicon, which is a book that, when read, summons terrible demons who come and pretty much try to prove how much 5 people could possibly bleed in a movie, because this movie is super, super gory. So if you're a fan of the Evil Dead franchise, you might not be a fan of this movie just because it's such a departure from the franchise, as in there's no real campy elements to it. It's pretty much just horror and terrifying suspense. No Bruce Campbell fighting himself and his hand and all kinds of weird jokes, and I don't know. Just everything that they take that was kind of cheesy from the Evil Dead franchise, they just turn to pure horror, and that honestly is why I love it. I love the Evil Dead franchise. I love Bruce Campbell. I'm caught up on Ash vs. the Evil Dead. I own every single Evil Dead movie and the Army of Darkness and watch them over and over and over again. However, it's nice to see a movie that's just truly terrifying. The Evil Dead had a budget of $17 million and made $97.5 million. And with that alone, you could see why Fede Alvarez is kind of becoming a bigger name than he was before this movie, his directorial debut, because he made a shit ton of money, to say the least. What's great about this movie is it's just purely terrifying. Like, its practical effects and disturbing imagery alone is just incredible. You'll see stuff that you wish you never saw in a movie, and pretty much there's just gore, gore, and more gore. Like, it literally rains blood at one point in the movie without trying to give away too much. So please, please, if you like horror and you haven't seen this movie, what the hell are you waiting on, to be honest? Go out and watch it. Shoot, if you know me, I'll give you a copy of this movie and you could watch it. I just couldn't say enough about this movie. It's just incredible. And with its heart-pounding, terrifying score throughout, man, it just hits home all the crazy, disturbing imagery that you see. So the 2013 Evil Dead is a must watch for horror fans. Even if you're not a fan, or even if you're a big fan of the campy Bruce Campbell Evil Dead movies, I'd still say give this a watch, but kind of try to expect that it's going to be pretty much 100% the opposite direction. His following movie, Don't Breathe, also starring Jane Levy, is about three friends who get trapped in the house of a blind man who they thought was going to be an easy person to steal from. The blind man is played by Stephen Lang, who you might know him from Avatar as the muscular army guy or whatever he was. And it also stars that socially awkward dude from 13 Reasons Why. I'm not sure what his name is. But anyways, Jane Levy, starring again, is one of the friends, along with her two others, who go around stealing from different properties around them. And they've come across this find that somebody tells them about of this old guy who's apparently sitting on a treasure mine of money. And they want to share, they just want to steal all his money because he's blind and he's not going to be able to do anything about it. But little did they know he does. This is an original story by Fede Alvarez. He came up with every twisted, messed up part about this movie. And once again, this movie was made for no money, pretty much $9.9 million, and it went and made over $150 million at the box office. So this guy knows how to make movies for pocket change and put out movies that just rack in millions and millions of dollars and make all the studio execs pretty happy. What's cool about this movie, Don't Breathe, is it's creepy. It has kind of like a absorbing atmosphere that literally makes you not want to breathe. Like if you haven't seen this movie, make sure you put all your kids to sleep, put your dog away, turn off the dishwasher, whatever you're doing. Sit in a silent room and watch this movie and let the atmosphere take over, because it'll if you let it, it'll draw you in and put you right in this movie with these characters, and it'll blow your mind if anything. I unfortunately had my first viewing kind of ruined because I had some guy sitting in the movie theater next to me who was one of those people who thought he was always smarter than the protagonist, and he's always just like, "Don't go in that room. No, why would you do that? You're so stupid." Kind of one of those guys, and he did not hold back on the volume of which he was saying those things, and it was incredibly annoying. However, the story was so great that it almost didn't matter. With any other movie, I probably would have walked out of the theater because I can't stand those kind of people. But this movie absorbed me into it, and it made me want to watch it, even with this annoying guy. So like I was saying, make sure you're in a silent room, watch this movie, because the atmosphere deals a lot with silence, especially with Stephen Lang's character being blind. The kids are trying to hide in this guy's house, which 80% of the movie pretty much takes place inside of this guy's house. And man, even like a pin drop you could hear. And which kind of leads to some pretty effective jump scares. There's no cheap shots here. Everything as far as the atmosphere goes, and pretty much just everything about this movie kind of revolves around silence, and it's just crazy. And that being said, there's some messed up twists. Obviously, it's not going to be so easy for these kids to rob this blind guy. But as far as the simple twist you would think would go with that, there's also some more that go with it, and that leads to some pretty messed up parts, including something that you didn't think you'd ever see in a movie. And after watching it, I don't know if you'd ever want to see it in a movie. And let's just say it involves a turkey baster, and I'll leave it at that. And it's freaking gross and disgusting, but I loved it because it's something I haven't ever seen in a movie before. So yeah, Evil Dead and Don't Breathe, directed by Fede Alvarez, are two of the greatest horror movies I think I've seen in the last 5 years or so, and they're definitely worth a watch. So I currently don't think you could find them on Netflix or Amazon, Hulu. You might have to rent it, but it's definitely I say it's worth a buy, both of them. I own both of them. I own both of them on Vudu. I've watched both of them several times, and pretty much when somebody comes to me and says that they want to watch a horror movie that will scare them because they're desensitized and nothing scares them, I show them either one of these movies, because one is incredibly suspenseful and disturbing. The other is just messed up and disturbing on its own, and they're both amazing, to say the least. Fede Alvarez, I can't wait for anything else that he directs. I haven't seen the girl in the spider's web yet, but I can only imagine it's good. I don't know. I haven't even heard of it, to be honest. Dante's Inferno, that's the perfect thing for this guy, to make some disturbing looking 7 levels of hell kind of movie. And Labyrinth, I don't know. I guess that's a good movie for him. I don't know. But anyways, I trust this guy to make any movie, and I'll go see it. Except for the girl in the spider's web. I guess I have to hear about a movie before I could see it. But yeah, so go and give Evil Dead 2013 and Don't Breathe a watch, and let me know how you liked it. If you like this show and you would like to see other shows, upcoming shows, I guess, episodes, give this podcast a like, share it with your friends. Go ahead and help us out, because pretty much you guys are what we're doing this for, and if we don't have any listeners, I guess we won't do it anymore. So please, 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 if you like what you hear, go ahead and show it to the world. Shout out to your friends, and if you'd like to be on this show and talk about movies, also give us a little heads up, and we might be able to fit you in. I usually do the show with Miles Cardan. However, I'm doing this show today alone, and I will probably be doing most of my shows of Night Terrors alone, unless I could find somebody who likes to talk about horror movies as much as I do. So yeah, Night Terrors is the new show I'm going to talk to you about. I'm just doing a kind of a short episode this time around to kind of give you a taste for it, as well as just to put out an episode because it's been a while. But I hope to share more. I'm thinking about my next episode is going to be on the Friday the 13th franchise, which is my favorite horror franchise, as dumb as it gets sometimes. I still love it. So yeah, if there's a horror franchise you'd like me to talk about, send me a message and I'd love to talk about it. But until then, I'll just keep talking to you about my favorite in horror movie news and such, and television and all of that. Okay? So, that being said, thank you for listening to In the Picture. This is Night Terrors, and I am Awesome Shane Jones. Good night.